All right. Hey guys, welcome to the Penta Podcast, where today I am going over The Giver. We are going to talk about a summary, essentially, of the book of how far I've read, which is basically 94 pages out of like 180, which is honestly like a really short book. It's a really short book, but it's a dystopia book, and I love dystopias, and it works out pretty cleanly, stuff like that. And I'm just gonna give you my summary on it, my beliefs, and stuff like that. So I'm gonna start it off really clean and really simple. It's a dystopia, of course, right? It's really hard to explain the world unless I explain it correctly and fluently to you guys. No scripts today. I have water with me so I don't so my throat doesn't dry out like last episode where it was like 43 minutes of like straight storytelling. Well, not storytelling, of course, but straight podcast, which I do admit was kind of funny because I didn't expect it to be so long. So this time I'm hopefully not going to try and make it like 40 plus minutes, right? But I'm going to try my best, give you guys the context, give you guys what you guys need. Basically the best of what I can offer. So, summary. Remember, 94 pages, halfway through out of 180. So, the world. The world of The Giver is amazing. It's about this story of a kid named Jonas. When we first meet him, he's like 11. And the book, not the book, but the world in this universe is like centered around sameness. For example, all the kids of a certain age group have a birthday at the same day. For example, they have a ceremony of naming, if I remember correctly, and this is basically where every single people in the community come up to this like big ass. Sorry about the words, I forgot. I might use profanities. They come to this big theater or no, stadium. That's what I'm thinking about. Stadium, and there's a bunch of kids who are given names and assigned their families on that day. Those kids are given numbers, and for example, at the ceremony of sex, or no, no, let me go before that because I got notes. I got notes this time, boys. Let's go. At the ceremony of three, girls are given ribbons and what's it called? When they're at dinner time, no, breakfast. It's breakfast. They're at breakfast, if they ever have a dream, they're supposed to tell it to their family. And basically, that's what the ceremony of three is. They just basically get like the girls get the ribbons, and the boys, both girls and boys, are supposed to tell their dreams to the family. And that goes for everybody until their death. I'm guessing, because then again, I haven't gotten that far, even though it's like halfway through. Then, for another example, at the ceremony of sevens, which I was about to get through, let's see. Ceremony of sevens, ceremony of sevens. I had it right here. I can't find it. I'm legally blind. I'm not. Let's see. No, I had it right here. Why is it escaping my mind? No. Sevens, eights, fours, nines. Ah, here it is. Not the ceremony of sevens, but the ceremony of eights. Sorry, I got it mixed up. At the ceremony of eights, kids are able to begin their volunteer hours. Basically, these volunteer hours are basically what leads up to their. Basically, let's say that if I became 12, the government would decide what job I have. The ceremony of 12 is what gives you your job. I know I kind of skipped through from 8 to 12, but it's just for context for the volunteer hours. So at 8, you're able to start your volunteer hours. At 9, the kids at that age group are given bicycles with their names on it at 10, and boys and girls both are given haircuts. If I remember correctly, the boys are given shorter hair while the girls are given braids. Um, and let's see. Oh, that's right. I just forgot about that. And at 11, it's basically just a ceremony that they just kind of go through. Some ceremonies are just like you sit there, haha, you're 12 now, or well, that wouldn't be a great example since that's when they get their jobs. Or let me give like a better example. Haha, it's a ceremony of 9, or let's say 11, where nothing truly happens, essentially, and that's how that goes. Very, 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 very much the same for everybody. Everybody gets treated the same. There's some like social features about this community, and we're just giving it through the eyes of Jonas. And there's one community. There was a reference at the beginning of the book where like other communities came in to like socialize. And now I'm going to get sorry. Now I'm going to get into the actual summary of the book. Jonas, he's the main protagonist of the book. We see things from his point of view, and I'm going to now give you his family. His mother and father, who of which he never like names, he just says mother and father, and Lily, who is their or his younger sister, who I'm pretty sure is like 7 now, because she does have her ribbons. No, not 7. 8-ish? No. It's something around that. But all I know is that she's going to I'm pretty sure she's like really excited to get her bicycle. Oh, now I remember, she's gonna get her bicycle really soon, and I'm pretty sure I got to the part at least when she got it. And Jonas goes into these details about how some small laws, such as, for example, they are given bikes at 9, right? They're not supposed to ride bikes until 9. But some of the older brothers or sisters will teach the younger brothers and sisters how to ride bicycles, right? These are like small laws which they want to break, but it's still like a law, so they can't theoretically break it, but it's still broken sometimes, of course. And they do make a comment how laws that want to get laws and like really dumb stuff that people want to get rid of are sent to committee, and the committee, nothing ever happens in the committee. Like they did talk about it like a few times, how I'm so badly hoping I'm saying it correctly. The committee just basically rambles on, and then eventually forget about the thing they're talking about until a new one comes up. So stuff like the law that they want to stop bicycles from being used at an earlier age gets basically revoked because it's never talked about again. There's that. There was one point where Lily talks about how a boy was being disrespectful to her, but her father made a point where since he was from a different community, that might just be their way of like doing things, of course, right? So there's really dumb stuff like that. There's also stuff where like if you do something dumb or like out of way, like instead of saying stream, you say steak, like a meat steak. Instead of saying stream, you'd have to like say to everybody you're sorry, stuff like that. If you do something you're not supposed to, or like are rude, or make a mistake that could be really small, that could distract others, you're supposed to say sorry, please forgive me, and the everybody else is supposed to say I forgive you. Jonas also does go into the fact that if you do see someone naked, which I find funny, that it's always like the awkwardest ones. Anyways, I got into a very deep hole and started rambling on. So, Jonas, his point of view. Lily, younger sister, father, mother, and then we get into Asher, which was his best friends basically for the entire story and before we saw it. Then we meet Fiora, which is like who Asher's interested in. Essentially, it's kind of obvious because Jonas points it out, stuff like that. Hmm. Then Jonas kind of like starts talking to her. I wouldn't say that they got like intimate. He starts liking her. Like you can tell that he starts liking her, and he starts getting what people would call jittery, or starting to feel feelings towards her. And what I found funny was that when he started feeling these things, he told his mother, and his mother was like, "Oh yeah, we get these things all the time. Let me just give you some pills; it'll go away." Which I kind of find funny since they're like they devolve love or like affections like that for other people. He goes into it how like he felt something and then he stopped feeling it, and he would just continue taking those pills for basically all their lives. What his mother tells him and stuff like that. Anyways, volunteer hours. Asher, Fiora, and Jonas volunteer at multiple places. Most Fiora, if I remember correctly, she mostly volunteers at like old. Oh, what are these called? Places that like take care of the old people. I don't know their names, but that's basically what it is, right? And Asher and Jonas join her, right? And that's where he starts to feel the feelings towards Fiora and stops. And that's where that ends, essentially. Jonas also goes into how much he is best friends with Jonas and how they've done dumb stuff. Also, they go into detail about how like some jobs are, like really important and how like some people are really smart compared to others. For example, at the place where they take care of old people, they're supposed to like bathe the old people, and they're like naked while they get bathed by Jonas, Fiora, and Asher. Um, one of the old women tells Jonas about how one of her friends, no, I wouldn't say friends, but people she knew, um, and how she got birth mother as her assignment at 12. And birth mother is kind of like this job which is like looked down upon because it's not really like a adequate job. It's kind of like, oh, you didn't do anything. Here we go. We're just gonna give this to you. And for other reasons, of course, like you can already see what I mean by birth mother as an assignment. Um, anyways, big job, big job assignments coming up at 12. Jonas is nervous. He's extremely nervous. Um, I forgot what Asher got. He got like a he got mentioned a lot since before Jonas Asher came up. He got a job. It's not on top of my mind right now, but it's like never mentioned again, so it doesn't even matter. Fiora got Taker of the Old, or what's it called? Basically, you take care of the old people. Volunteer hours actually strongly influence what your assignment will be, since elders of the community, basically just like government officials, what they're called, elders, will basically like pay attention to what you do, stuff like that. And now that I mentioned that, there is a point that I do want to give before I forget. Jonas' father is a nurturer. He was given nurture. He goes into detail how he loves kids, how he basically loves them and like wants to take care of them, and how some of the other nurturers at the baby center don't do their job really well, such as like the nighttime nurturers. But Jonas' father loves children. So there's this one little child named Gabriel. By the way, since there's a naming ceremony, they're not really supposed to know the names of the children. Jonas' father says that maybe because he calls him that, he might change. Because Gabriel is kind of like a late bloomer for his age, even though he's still like an infant. He's still a late bloomer nonetheless. And before that, he obviously did a lot of volunteer hours as a nurturer, and that's how the elders eventually chose him to be a nurturer. And Jonas tells no, the father of Jonas tells him how when he got his job, he was super excited. So he told Jonas to not like be super nervous, but nonetheless, Jonas is still super nervous. Of course, like this at the age of 12, your life is basically decided for you. So Fiora gets caretaker of the old. Asher, I forgot. Not that it matters that much. Hopefully, I don't get deducted points. Of course, it's still a project. Har har har. Um, Jonas. So the elder community elder like president goes from order. I forgot how it was. It was like numbers, like no, number 119A, 120B, stuff like that. For example, she skipped over Jonas specifically, and at the ceremony of 12, and he went dead. He was so scared. He was super nervous at this point. And the thing is that everybody's ceremony, because take in mind, these ceremonies are also attended by every other age group. By the, I won't say the infants, that's not actually got into detail. But like the fours, the threes, I'm guessing, because it literally says everybody. The adults. I'm not sure about the really old people, but it does say that a lot of people, actually go to these. So I'm not sure if they decide this, by the way. No, now I remember, now I remember. The ceremony of coming of age is actually the same for everybody. So there's gonna be threes at the ceremony. There's gonna be fours, fives, six, up to like 20s, right? And probably more. But like I'm guessing that the 20s, 15s, stuff like that aren't actually like given an actual ceremony since 12, like 3 through 12 are the only actual important ones, right? And at a young age, they are shown to have more independence, such as at the age of what's it called? 4, they're given jackets, and they are encouraged to have more independence. They at different age, they also get another jacket, like a full-on jacket with buttons on it and pockets, so they can start having their own things and more independence, stuff like that. Anyways, go off track. Jonas gets his name skipped, and everybody notices. People are scared. People are like, "Oh my gosh, did the president make a mistake? How? This hasn't ever happened before." And essentially, after she stops giving the assignments for everybody else, she comes back to Jonas and puts him on stage. And she then firmly tells everybody, including Jonas, that there was a specific reason why she did not mention his name. And that name is something specific. And that reason is because he got a very rare job who only one person has at all given time, and that is only exception when it is a person in trainee. And that job is called what was it called? The job of remembrance. They're supposed to like remember everything. And everything. And from this point, the president tells everybody that there wasn't also. I'm gonna just continue. Actually, never mind. That this is an important job. That everybody knows how important this job is, essentially, because it's a rare job. Like only one person ever has it, of course. And they're inside I would call the government of the community. And she also mentions a accident that happened 10 years back with the previous person who was chosen. And basically everybody remembers this sad story. We don't really get much details about it, at least where I'm at, right? And she says that this job includes much pain. But at this point, we don't really know what that means. And then that doesn't actually get explained until what's it called? Until Jonas is basically given his assignment. Next day, Jonas wakes up. He gets a note saying what to do, what to say, and basically just instructions for his job, right? And where to go after school. And he was quite shocked because I remember correctly, there's like 8 rules, and one of those rules are like to specifically not tell your dreams at family reunion during breakfast. And that shocked Jonas. But the thing that shocked him most was that he's able to be rude and lie to the giver, which is the person who was before before Jonas. And oh, right. Now I remember the job that he got was the receiver of memory. The receiver of memory, and the previous receiver of memory becomes the giver, and now Jonas is the receiver of memory. And Jonas is now able to basically lie. And he's like, "What? I'm able to lie?" And Jonas is also allowed to ask questions, but questions are seen as rude. Like, why would you question something or someone, right? So he was shocked about that. It also says to not basically tell the instructions to anybody else and to immediately go to basically the place where he has to go to like actually learn his job every single day immediately after school. So with that information, after school the next day, Jonas goes to the place where he has to go. He meets the person who is now the giver, who was once the receiver of memory, because Jonas is now the receiver of memory, right? And he is explains basically what the receiver of memory is. And this is actually where the story envelops. Because once this gets revealed, you can see where the story can lead to. And it opens your mind to different possibilities. One of those possibilities being that Jonas can die. How? Because Jonas receives memories. And when Jonas receives memories, he can feel the pain of those memories. And the giver explains to him how he receives that the giver has memories of things that don't exist anymore. For example, the giver goes into detail how snow is no longer a thing in the world. So when Jonas, oh shoot, I have to go through the steps that they did. It's really, really weird. Essentially the giver, to like show a memory to Jonas, he has to like place his hand on Jonas's back, and Jonas can see and these memories in his mind just flowing and stuff like that. And from there, Jonas receives a few memories of snow. And he's like, "What's this? I don't know its name." And the giver says, like, "It's snow, and you're going downhill." Which he did not know what a hill was, because now in this world, hills are completely removed because they are seen as a nuisance. Just how snow was seen as a nuisance. And then the giver also goes into detail how climate change was specifically made to be at the perfect temperature, because that was also seen as a nuisance. You see where the community wants sameness, right? The giver also goes into detail how sameness is something the community and the world wanted. That's why. Also, I didn't mention this about Fiora, but she has red hair, and the giver kind of notices how Jonas are friends with Fiora, so he kind of uses her as an example, as in since she has red hair, he tells Jonas that red hair are one of the things that they want to get rid of, but that's really hard, right? You'd have to basically kill every single genetics about people that have red hair because they want complete sameness. For like example, the ceremonies of 3 through 12, where everybody has to say sorry if they do something incorrectly. Everybody has to do their jobs immediately, right? And then the giver essentially is a very sympathetic old person who's like wise, right? He enjoys Jonas's company and talks to him a lot. And he gives Jonas for the first time a memory with somewhat of pain. Because remember, Jonas hasn't seen or felt pain because life is so simplified, so built into these structures where you're not let out. Like, have you ever heard of the concept of thinking outside the box? Yeah, now you're stuck inside that box. You're expected to do stuff exactly as you're told. But the giver is an assignment where you actually are supposed to be out the box because you are literally learning about events that happened years, thousands, hundreds of years ago. And that's where you begin to think, can Jonas see memories of things that actually happened in our world? For example, I have a Holocaust and genocide class. Did Jonas is Jonas eventually gonna like have a memory of like the Holocaust, where he might feel one of the experiences of one of the survivors, or just the pain of a war that could have happened thousands or maybe hundreds of years ago? And that's where eventually like ends. Like it doesn't end right there, of course, but like that's where up to where I read to. And while searching up notes, spoiler by the way, um, while searching up notes for this podcast, I one of the most searched questions was like, when does Jonas die? And I was like, wait, hold up, Jonas dies? Which came as a shocker because I didn't expect this dude to die. I'm guessing he dies if it's something that's searched up a lot, right? Anyways, that's about to where I've read. And it's a pretty good story so far, right? I'm enjoying it a lot. A lot, a lot, a lot. And let's see, what else am I supposed to do? Uh research an event, talk about your findings. Ooh, okay. So for this, I would like to talk about how I was literally just talking about how Jonas can feel pain of memories, right? Because he's never felt pain, as I said before, and the giver has memories from people from the past. It could be hundreds and even thousands of people, and he has so much information in his brain, and he has endured all of it, which could be seen as a pro and a con. And trust me, they both have pros and cons because now the giver has all this knowledge about the world before, but he also went through pain and suffering for it, right? That is also why when Jonas is given the assignment of the receiver of memory, he is looked with eyes of sympathy by the president. And people also are like really surprised when he gets this job. They're like, "Oh my gosh, he got the giver! Wow!" I mean, the receiver of memories, mind explosion, right? And people just around tell him how important of a job it is. Like, "Oh my gosh, he got an important job! Congrats!" Stuff like that, right? And you start to feel sympathetic for him at a certain point because remember, this is like an 11-year-old kid who is, I'm gonna be honest, decently smart for his age. Like he actually sees the world view, and that is a point that the elders made for him. The giver that they were looking for children like Jonas, who like looked at the world in different ways. Because Jonas does go into detail about how the world works, and I'm guessing this is from his perspective, right? Because we don't hear from anybody else's perspective. He like talks about how Asher, his best friend, acts in a specific way. He like basically monitors, like analyzes people that he knows, right? He's also kind of like this. I wouldn't say spunky, but like kind of like a emo-ish kid at the beginning. I don't remember it super well, but I do remember that he was kind of like low, somewhat negative. Like he wasn't like wanting to like talk to his parents or wanting to tell his memory, not his memory, his dream at the family reunion and stuff like that. And that's about it, to be honest. This podcast episode has been pretty fun. Let's see what else I'm supposed to talk about. Like, I've read the rules for the project that I'm supposed to do right now, of course, but I'm just making sure so I don't like miss anything, right? Cause I'm gonna be honest, I don't want to fail. I want to get an A plus plus or S tier type stuff, right? It says interview a character or a friend. Sadly, I don't have friends. Oh wait, I have like thousands. Give a full book talk, which is the summary I just gave for you guys. Research an event, which I just talked about, how Jonas can feel pain and what could happen in the future, right? And sadly, I did spoil a bit, but I'm actually wondering how Jonas dies now. Like, does he get massacred? Does he get in a very painful memory from the giver and like commits suicide, or like mind explodes, or he just completely shuts down from like the sorrow and depression that he feels? Because I'm guessing if he can feel pain, he can also feel the emotions in it. Also, please don't keep in mind when he receives a memory, it's not like, oh my gosh, it's a movie. No, it's like he can see all around him as if he was in the place himself. Like, from your point of view, you can do a 360. Boom, everything's there. That's basically Jonas's view of your memory, of course. Because he does talk about how he feels the sun on his skin when he gets sunburned. He talks about how happy he is when he like goes down a hill on a sled that has snow on it and stuff like that. And that's basically how he could basically die, which I imagine is either going to be a really sad and painful death. Keep in mind, I'm already halfway through the book, and it's a short book. This book is an amazing read so far, and it's a pretty short book. And essentially, I'm wondering if he will die through a really sadistic method, like really sad, like he got tortured through all the memories he's receiving. Or did he die like giving the memories to everybody in the world? Like that could potentially be a thing. Like the giver is giving Jonas memories. What if Jonas somehow can give these memories to everybody? Because there is a point made where that people do want more freedoms in this community, but they're slowed down by some things, such as the committee. So that's where I'm guessing the story could lead to, and I find it really interesting, and that's why I recommend this book a lot. 5 stars, I'd give it a 4 or like a 3.7, 8-ish. Really good story. Perfect, I wouldn't consider it perfect. It's a very, based on how you view the book, it's a satisfiable read. And I'm pretty sure it can pique your interest if you're in dystopias. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce the genre, dystopias. Because I personally love dystopias. That's the book I read the last time, The 11th Plague. That was a dystopia. This is a dystopia. And as a dystopia liker, I'm pretty sure I am decently involved with the genre. So I give to you a decently good book, 4 stars, 3.8, 3.7. Take it as to what you take at face value, please. Definitely recommend it. And have a good day. This was a fun time making this, and